This podcast is a proud member of the Tech Podcast Network. Visit the Tech Podcast Network at www.techpodcast.com. If it's tech, it's here.
Welcome to Calcast, your Create International podcast. Gospel Gadget Podcast, episode 45.
Welcome, listeners, to Gospel Gadget Podcast. We want to show you what God is doing in terms of using technology to spread the gospel message all over the world and especially cross-culturally towards unreached peoples. So it's great to have you with us today.
It's good to be here.
Okay, so I was just wondering if you would share with our audience a bit about what you've been doing with mobile technology, particularly Wi-Fi devices, and how that can be used for mission work, and particularly, mission work amongst unreached peoples, difficult to get into nations and so forth.
Sure. We live in an exciting world today. I mean, mobile is everywhere. Basically, every person we're trying to reach has got a phone in their pocket.
That's right.
And that just opens up so many opportunities for engagement. And my particular focus in ministry is how can we engage them? What kind of things can we do that will open those relationships and give somebody an opportunity to start someone on their journey towards faith in Christ. Yeah. Within the mobile world, there are many different strategies that we can use and implement. But one of the ones that we are using is we call it the Hope Box.
Okay, great.
It's a little Wi-Fi broadcaster that a worker, they can simply carry it in their pocket. It's very small and discreet. And they can sit in a coffee shop or on a bus somewhere, or in a hotel lobby, anywhere where people are going to gather, and they're sitting around with nothing to do, and they pull their phone out and they see, oh, there's a Wi-Fi signal here. This one, though, maybe is going to catch their attention. And so they will click on it because of the way it's named. And when their phone connects to it, it brings up what appears to be a website. And on the website, they can interact with the content that's there. There's it varies according to which country we've put the device, but basically it's the same kind of thing where there will be a gospel message, just a simple creation to Christ, videos they can watch, but then most importantly, there's a contact form. Because we know there are so many people, especially in this region of the world, where people are questioning their cultural religion, and they are actively seeking the truth, but they're not really quite sure where to find the answers, and security is an issue, and so they're not sure where to go to find the answers. And so this device really becomes a bridge between those who are seekers and those who have the answer, those who can lead them towards the truth. Mm-hmm. And so if they enter their data, we don't ask for much, of course, because security is also a concern. But whatever's going to be appropriate in that situation, it might be a signal address or a telegram or whatever, but a way of making contact with them.
That's great. And
so then the worker then is able to harvest that data and then begin a relationship carefully. And over time, it's in certain countries it takes a little while for things to filter through the security situations, but they're able to begin that personal relationship that hopefully will lead towards faith in Christ. And many different stories of them being used. Thinking of a location in Central Asia.
General region.
That's a moment.
Central Asia.
Wonderful story of someone who, the typical scenario, they were a seeker, mm-hmm. and they were looking for truth, but they didn't know where to find it. And so they were, as was their custom, they went along to the coffee shop and they clicked on the link, and that just started that process in their lives, and then they became a believer.
That's wonderful. Now, the device that you're mentioning, I think it's the same device that we were using that we call DoveStream. It's a general device.
That's right.
TP-Link had produced for a while. The people that you had using your devices, what was sort of the context that they would use it in? Would it be a coffee shop or a mall or a train or something like that, or all of the above?
All of the above. Most commonly, they're used in coffee shops, but they have been used on buses, on train stations, hotel lobbies, airports, lounges, again, somebody in, another Central Asian location that is in the news a lot, we'll just put it that way. They had it on in an airport lobby when they were waiting for a flight, airport departure lounge, and they were able to interact with 4 different people.
Wow, that's great.
That connected to the device.
Because it does have a chat room built in, right?
Yes, that's right.
So you can actually interact with people.
And they interacted with them, and people downloaded the Jesus film right there in the airport's departure lounge.
That's great. I think you might have mentioned to me that someone told you once that they turned it on or left it on in an airplane when they're flying.
Yeah, obviously there are some things you probably shouldn't do, but this particular person did. They just wanted to see what was going to happen, and so they intentionally left it on in a plane, and then they, after the flight had been going for a little while, they walked to the bathroom at the end of the plane just so they had an excuse to walk along the plane, so that you can see what people had on their devices.
Yeah.
And they counted over 20 people were watching the Jesus film on the plane.
That's amazing.
Streaming from the device in his pocket.
That's fantastic.
Yeah.
That's wonderful. Well, it's interesting because these days many airlines are using very similar technology to share with people the movies that they're providing, and they'll often tell you, oh, you can watch this on your own device, just link to this, and it's basically the same kind of technology. Of course, they probably know they know what's their network and what's somebody else's network too, I'm sure. But that's pretty good. Have you ever heard of any actual salvation stories that have come as a result of someone sharing and watching a film on this device?
As I said, I mean, that the story I referenced earlier, that was a specific lady who became a believer.
Wow.
And her journey started with contact with the device.
Wow, that's exciting. Yeah. That's fantastic. So you had mentioned, I can't remember how many devices approximately you've distributed around the world?
In approximately almost 200 devices we put out.
Wow, that's great. That's about how much we have done as well. And in pretty much in the unevangelized world?
My primary location, I've gone a lot of places, but my primary distribution is from throughout North Africa, Middle East, Central Asia countries. Many, shall we say, repeat customers.
Yeah,
we started
happy
with
customers.
in one country, and we did it as a test with the national church leadership, and they thought the device was going to be really helpful to them, and so they came back and asked for 12 more.
Wow, that's fantastic.
So we supplied them with 12 more, and then a little while later they came back and asked for some more.
Wow.
Because they are giving them to each of their teams that are going out, and teams of national believers that are going out in different areas of the countryside, even poor areas of the nations where there's not much infrastructure, yet still people have cell phones.
Right.
And it's a way of connecting.
So this is actually a technology that's really helpful in places where people have mobile devices, but internet and maybe even data packages are too expensive for the average person, and so they're always looking for a free network to get onto to check email.
I'm aware of locations in Central Asia where there really is no cell structure. Still, everybody has a phone. They use them as a camera and a media player, and then they are looking for those opportunities to connect to a Wi-Fi.
Right.
And so you turn up and you have a Wi-Fi that they can connect to, so they're very, very excited about this, and so they're going to connect.
Yeah, So just for our God Network News fans to know that these devices don't actually link you to the internet.
No.
They're actually an independent from telephone technology as well as internet technology, and that's part of the reason why they're so stealth as well, because it's virtually impossible to know where they're coming
They're
from.
very secure. I mean, it's possible if somebody was really, really looking for you in a very, very precise location, they could tell the device is there. But in reality, you are
Unless
invisible.
you see a bunch of little men in green outfits with big dishes in their hands going whoop, 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 whoop,
That's
trying
right.
to detect, you're pretty much going to be undetectable. So that's the great thing about it. You can throw these in your backpack or in your pocket. How long do these devices last that you've been using?
Well, it really depends on how many people are on them. The devices that we're using, the TP-Link devices, they will last typically about 4 hours on one charge. It works just like a cell phone. You plug it in and charge it right up again. But for us, that's long enough for a session where somebody goes out and they sit in a coffee shop and sit there so long and drink so much coffee. And but it works, for one session is about 4 hours, and then they come back and they harvest the data and begin the process of starting those relationships.
And they also have the ability to capture the logging or the activity that's going on. How many people are coming on the device? What are they watching, and so forth? Right?
Yeah. So we can collect basic analytics. It's not real in depth, but we can find out how many people connected, what they have downloaded, what they have watched. So it helps us even with time of day. Is this a good time of day to go out? Well, not so many people have connected. Or another time, well, this is a great location because a lot of people were connected to the device and the time it was on. So
that's very good.
If you enjoyed this episode, please consider donating to help us continue to bring exciting stories fresh from the field. Visit our website at godnetworknews.com and select the PayPal link on the right side of the page, or consider becoming a Patreon partner to receive access to more valuable materials exclusive to our members. Please visit our website at godnetworknews.com, where you will find show notes, free gifts, links to helpful resources, and how to subscribe and share these podcasts with others.